Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today I have some exciting news to share, and that is that my life list hit 100 birds on my life list. And I will say that I left out hummingbirds. Haven't gotten into narrowing down which species of hummingbird I'm looking at. I know I tried in the beginning and I found it very challenging to know for sure what species was what. So I just kind of put that to the side and I just always label it hummingbird. And I should get into that. I should go back and really start looking at that more because I've gotten better with other species. So I can certainly do it with hummingbirds. I'm just being completely honest that they're not on the list when I hit my 100. So it is actually more than 100 is my point. I was still really excited to hit that 100. And I will insert a photo of the bird that did it, that put me at the 100. And it was the white-winged dove. And if you're following along here, you know that I recently moved in May. And where I lived before, I never, ever saw a white-winged dove. We had 4 doves there. We had the mourning doves, the Eurasian collared doves, the rock pigeons, and the band-tailed pigeons. Those were the 4, I believe, I always saw where I lived before. And we do definitely have a lot of mourning doves here. I have seen some Eurasian collared doves. I don't recall seeing band-tailed pigeons or rock pigeons, at least yet. But I did notice when I was out walking in the morning, map my walk app recording my walk, and then I have my Merlin app recording the sound and looking for birds. I don't really look at it much unless I hear a call that I don't recognize. Then I'll pull it out and look. But mostly it's when I get back home, I'm done walking, I look at it and see what's here, especially now that I'm in a new area. It's really exciting to get home and look, what did it hear? What did I miss? What was out there that I didn't get to see? And then some birds are totally silent. A lot of mornings I see a Cooper's hawk and it's always in the exact same spot, but it's silent and you'll never see it on the Merlin app. So there's still more birds for sure. But I did notice several times that my Merlin app said there was a white-winged dove picked up. And I thought like, wow, I've never actually seen that. I came home and I was going through my photos and I was like, that dove looks a little different. And I ran it through and sure enough, it's a white-winged dove. So that put me at my 100. So I was going to just go through my list. And then I was also going to talk about the differences I see in where I lived before and where I live now, bird-wise. I will definitely put timestamps on this video in case there are certain parts you are just not interested in. You can kind of jump around and see what you want and skip what you don't want. Hi guys, I just want to interrupt your video for one quick moment and ask a favor. YouTube is telling me that the majority of my viewers are not subscribed to the channel. So if that's you, if you're watching and you're not subscribed, I would so appreciate if you would subscribe. Also, if you're enjoying this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you hit that bell icon, it will notify you when I upload videos in the future. I really do appreciate your support and it helps me continue to make videos just like this. Thank you so much. Now back to your video. So first I'm going to go down my list. This will hit 100. Hang with me. I have my notes on my iPad like always. So a good amount of this list is going to be from Southern California where I lived before, but mixed in there for sure is trips when we traveled because anytime we traveled, I was sure to bring my camera and I was so excited to go walking in the mornings and look for birds. And so we did a lot of traveling to Arizona, where I am now, as well as up through, we spent time in Nevada, Utah, and I have in-laws in Idaho. So a lot of that area was covered. So you might hear some and be like, those aren't in Southern California. And they probably weren't, but I just went in the order of the species that I saw. And there are trips definitely mixed in there, just for clarification. So number 1 is house sparrow. Number 2 is red-tailed hawk. Number 3 is crow. 4 is mourning dove. 5 is turkey vulture. 6 is a gray lag goose. 7 is a raven. 8 is a gray flycatcher. 9 is a dark-eyed junco. 10 is a house finch, 11 is a mallard duck, 12 is black phoebe, 13 is California towhee, 14 was a scaly-breasted munia. That one was really hard to get a picture of, I remember, and it took me a while to figure out what it was. Woodhouse scrub jay, white-headed woodpecker, acorn woodpecker, Steller's jay, double-crested cormorant, white-crowned sparrow, a greater roadrunner, a Say's phoebe, great egret, western bluebird, rock pigeon, hooded oriole, Eurasian collared dove, Cooper's hawk, Cassin's kingbird, white-breasted nuthatch, a Mexican jay, red-winged blackbird, red-crowned parrot, yellow-rumped warbler, emu, a lesser goldfinch, sapsucker, northern flicker, cedar waxwings, number 40, Canada goose, song sparrow, Nuttall's woodpecker, western tanager, red-shouldered hawks, European starling, phainopepla, not sure how to say that. I'm probably saying that. I'm probably butchering that. Yellow warbler, band-tailed pigeon, a bush tit, merlin, falcon, American robin, Swainson's hawk, red-whiskered bulbul, spotted towhee, black-headed grosbeak, western kingbird, double-crested cormorant, cactus wren, common yellow-throat warbler, and number 60, northern mockingbird, ruby-crowned kinglet, I don't know if it's Bewick's or Buick's wren, Swinhoe's white-eye, American herring gull, great blue heron, American white pelican, California gull, snowy egret, ring-billed gull, greater yellow legs, western sandpiper, nootropic cormorant, a white-faced ibis, great horned owl, bald eagle, western gull, osprey, American white pelican, a black-crowned night heron, number 80, hooded merganser, California scrub jay, American coot, red-breasted sapsucker, great-tailed grackle, a white-throated swift, a wood duck, a ruddy duck, a tree swallow, a ring-necked pheasant, Savannah sparrow, western meadowlark, northern house wren, Bonaparte's gull, California quail, ladder-backed woodpecker, ash-throated flycatcher, Gamble's quail, Chrysal thrasher, yellow-eyed junco, and number 100 was the white-winged dove. So that is my life list as of right now. I do need to work on narrowing down the species of hummingbirds as I see them, because there are still a lot here, and I can go back and look at the pictures of the ones I took in California too and try to narrow those down and see what the differences are between there and here. But I do find it really interesting that a lot of the birds here are the same species, but the proportions of them differ. So in California, I would say we predominantly had house finches, house sparrows, song sparrows, white-crowned sparrows. Those were like the predominant bird. There were a lot of western bluebirds and phoebes, especially black phoebes and Say's phoebes. The other ones kind of came and went throughout the year, I would say. Lots of both crows and ravens. And so here, at least so far, maybe it will change throughout the year. I don't know yet. But so far here, there's no crows. It's only ravens. And the predominant bird in my community that I live in here is the lesser goldfinch. You literally hear them all day long. As the sun is setting, I see them diving into, there's a ton of cottonwood trees around here. They just like dive into them and then they're quiet. So I know they're nesting in those trees and that's when they go to sleep. But they're already singing when I wake up in the morning. The sunrise is super early here, at least in the summertime right now. And then you hear them all day. You open a window, you open a door, you're going to hear a lesser goldfinch for sure. Second to that, I think, is robins. There's a lot of American robins here. So those were where I lived before. Robins were only like part-time where I lived before, part of the year, not very common. And the lesser goldfinch also, like, I don't think they were year-round. I certainly didn't see them year-round. I didn't hear them, but occasionally I would spot them. But they're small and they really do hide in trees. They're hard to get pictures. Even when there's so many around here, they can still be challenging to get pictures of. But I will say where I lived before in Southern California, we had lots of crows and ravens, lots of hummingbirds, house finches, house sparrows, white-crowned sparrows, western bluebirds, black phoebes, sage phoebes. We had a lot of mallard ducks. We had a pond in front of our clubhouse, and almost every morning there were mallard ducks in the pond. I always went and took their pictures. We had, in the community I lived in, we had a red-whiskered bugle, which was not native to the area. And it was the only one, I'm quite certain. And the theory was kind of that it had been someone's pet and it had gotten away or been released. And I've honestly felt bad for it because birds are very social and it was on its own. But it was a really cool bird. It was probably my favorite of all the birds in the community. And I would always look for it. It had a really distinct and really loud song and call. And there were times where I could see that it liked human interaction, but it was also very nervous and afraid. It wouldn't come to me, but there were a couple times it played hide and seek with me. So I'm pretty sure it was someone's pet. We had a lot of red-shouldered hawks in our community. Some were nesting like literally out my front door, and they'd hang out in my backyard. Really, really cool. There were so many. I got to see them nesting. It was that was just amazing. There were so many red-shouldered hawks. We did have red-tailed hawks, not as many, and they stayed more. You can definitely see that they have their territories, so they were there too. Lots of turkey vultures, like mostly in the sky overhead, but I did find some sitting in trees sometimes when I walked. They're massive birds, but there were tons of turkey vultures. I used to think before I got into birding and I knew birds, I always thought they were hawks, but just soaring through the sky. And then once I learned what they were and started learning more about birds, I realized they're not technically hawks. They aren't even birds of prey like hawks, but they're still big birds. Cooper's hawk, not as often, but occasionally there were Cooper's hawks where I lived before. Lots of acorn woodpeckers and some nuttal's woodpeckers. More rarely, we had red-breasted sapsuckers. We did have a lot of European starlings. And then seemed like some parts of the year, Cassin's kingbird, lesser goldfinch, western tanagers, hooded orioles. We did have the 4 doves and pigeons that I mentioned earlier. We had red-crowned parrots. They were just wild. There was a ton of them. They were really fun to hear. They were really loud to hear them, to see them, to photograph them. So I do miss those. We had a lot of white-throated swifts, and they were so hard to photograph. I got a couple photographs of them, but they were really hard. They move super fast, and you could hear them. I would hear them, especially in the morning, and I would try to photograph them. They just, shroom, shroom. They're just soaring around so fast and usually pretty high up too. So that makes it hard too. But yes, so white-throated swifts, egrets, flying over, and pretty often they would land too. A lot of great blue herons, lots of double-crested cormorants. I did live right next to a river, so there was water, so we did get water birds. Cedar waxwings, California towhees, they were one of my favorites. There was a lot of those. We did get pelicans, seagulls, the yellow-rumped warblers. I really do like those. A lot of Canada geese and northern mockingbirds. Those were really cool too. I don't think those were year-round. So then just to compare, I mean, I did outings and I saw other birds on outings when I lived there, but then we came here and first we were in an Airbnb for, I think it was a little over a week. It was in like a very suburban area, and I saw while we were there a lot of hummingbirds, a lot of spotted towhees. I remember the first morning we woke up because we got there really late at night. We were so tired, and we woke up and it was really hot in there when we got there. So we left the window open, and I remember waking up to the sound of a spotted towhee, and my husband was, the first thing out of his mouth was, "That's the prettiest bird call I've ever heard in my life." And there was a ton of spotted towhees there. And they were just out in the open, which I will contrast that with where we live now. There are a lot of spotted towhees, but they're very hidden. So I don't know what the difference is. Very strange. But there was Gamble's quail there, which I love quail. They don't seem to be in the community I live in. And I'm wishing there was a way to get them here. There were ash-throated flycatchers, woodhouse scrub jays, which is one of my all-time favorite birds, and they were not in Southern California. Like I said, there's just ravens. There are no crows, at least not right now. There were white-breasted nuthatches, which are super cute. There were a lot of mourning doves, ladder-backed woodpeckers. There were western bluebirds. There were Say's phoebes. There was a chrysal thrasher, and I was really proud of myself because I've never seen one before. But when I took the picture, I thought I don't know that I've seen any thrashers. I'm not sure why, but I initially thought when I took the picture, I saw the shape of the beak, and I thought to myself, I think it's some kind of thrasher. And then when I ran it through Merlin, I was like so proud of myself. And I'm not sure how I knew that, to be honest. I don't think I've seen any other thrasher, at least in person. Maybe I've seen it in other people's pictures or something. I'm not sure. And there were house finches there too. So then at that point, we had originally planned to move into our house at that point, but the house needed to be painted, and we had a painter who could start immediately. And so we decided to just not move in until the painting was done. It would just make life so much easier. And we could not extend the Airbnb. It was already booked past us. So we found a VRBO. And this VRBO was actually in a more foresty area, which I loved. There was wildlife outside your door, like all the time. There was deer, there were javelina, like just literally open your door and there they are. Like I loved it. It was wonderful. The wildlife there was outstanding. And so what I saw there was a lot of javelina, a lot of deer. I'm not sure what type of deer. I don't know deer like I know bird. There were hummingbirds. There were ash-throated flycatchers. There were yellow-eyed juncos. There's acorn woodpeckers, western bluebirds, house finches, lots of ravens, woodhouse scrub jays, my favorites. There was lesser goldfinch, and there were mourning doves. I did hear one day when we came home, we were getting out of the car, I heard a bird call that I did not recognize, and I grabbed my phone, put on my Merlin app, and it said it was a red cardinal. And I've never seen one. And I was so excited, but I couldn't find it. And then I didn't hear it anymore pretty shortly after that. So I was so excited, but so disappointed. But they do come here, at least in the foresty area. And so after that, our house was painted and we moved into our house and we've been here. And so I've done a lot of walking here, just in the community here. I have not ventured out on like outings yet. We're still getting settled. There's still a lot going on. I will eventually work on that. But I've just been walking my community for taking pictures. There is wildlife here, and it will probably vary throughout the year. So I don't want to say like, oh, I'm disappointed there isn't much. I have seen rabbits, and it's interesting. There were rabbits where I lived in California. There were a lot of rabbits. They're wild rabbits. They did camouflage really, really well. And they would just freeze and stay camouflaged if they could. But if they knew you saw them and they were scared, they would just run. Here, where I live now, I don't know if it's like a different type of rabbit or what the difference is, but they freeze and then they like flatten themselves out. Like that's gonna hide them or something. I don't know. It's very strange. I've never seen a rabbit do this, but they do. The ones here do it a lot. So it's very interesting. If you know what that's about, please leave it in the comment section for me. There are a lot of hummingbirds here. I have put out my seed feeder, and there are peanuts in the shelves on the sides. And I did put out my hummingbird feeder. I have only gotten, there's like a pair of house finches that come, like I see them probably once a day. No one is touching the peanuts, and no one is coming to the hummingbird feeder yet. So I'm a little disappointed, but I'm still working on it. There are tons of lesser goldfinch everywhere. and a lot of ravens. I do occasionally see sage phoebes and spotted towhees. I hear the spotted towhees here, but they are very hidden. We do have house finch. We do have some house sparrows, but not a lot. That's what's interesting here is like where I lived before, it was predominantly house finch, house sparrow. And here it's predominantly lesser goldfinch. And then I guess house finch and robins and spotted towhees. We do have a lot of American robins, a lot of mourning doves. There is a Cooper's hawk. I'm like positive it's the same Cooper's hawk I see every time, and it's always in the exact same spot. We have woodhouse scrub jays, not a ton of them, but they are around. That's why I put the peanuts. I was hoping to bring them, and I'm not going to give up hope. I'm still hoping they'll come. And I did see when we first moved in, I saw some yellow-rumped warblers. I don't know if they're seasonal here because I have not seen or heard any recently. That was just like right when we first got here. I got a beautiful picture. My neighbor has like a little pine tree, and it's like right on the edge of our driveway. And I was in the driveway, and I got this beautiful, beautiful picture of a yellow-rumped warbler in the pine tree. It was just one of my like all-time favorite photos. But since then, I really haven't seen or heard any, and I don't think Merlin has picked them up. So I don't know if they're a seasonal thing or what. We did when we first moved in. I don't know if it was like the first night or one of the very first nights we were here. My son had gone to bed, and he got up and told me that he looked out his window and he saw a big bird in the tree right outside. It's a big cottonwood tree. There's several really big cottonwood trees around my yard. And I love the way they sound when the wind blows. It's just amazing. I saw it from his window, and it had like a light gray head, and it was pretty big. And then I went outside, and it was pretty dark. I was like, I'm going to have a hard time getting a good shot in this lighting, but I'm going to try. And I couldn't see it from where I was. So I was just watching and watching, and I was about to give up, and then it flew away. So I got to see its head in the tree from my son's room, and then I got to see the underside as it flew away. And the only thing I can find that matches is a goshawk, if I'm saying that right. I don't even know how you say that. But yes, I am excited to see how the birds change seasonally here. So I hope this was interesting and maybe helpful in some way for you. If it was, please leave me a comment in the comments and let me know. And I hope you have a great day, and God bless you guys.